This is Gagan Girotra, IIT Roorkee class of 2000, and I am Calcutta class of 2005. So you may want to go through this argument and the four statements given below. This argument states this visa crackdown in the making raises troubling questions for the US tech sector and the broader economy as well. Any significant hike in the minimum salary levels for the specialized jobs held by H-1B visa recipients will hit not only the Indian IT firms but also the tech titans of Silicon Valley, including Microsoft, Google, Facebook. This will inflict pain on the US economy. You may want to pause this video, maybe read the argument again and read the four statements before you move on. Alright, let's move on. So let's identify the different parts of the argument, and like I've mentioned previously in all my critical reasoning videos, I like to figure out the conclusion first because it helps puts every other sentence in perspective. So the conclusion here is that any significant hike in the minimum salary levels is going to impact not only the Indian IT firms but also the Silicon Valley giants or titans. Okay, and this is going to inflict pain on the US economy. Okay, now you would notice that there are more than one conclusions here. The first conclusion is that there is going to be impact on Indian IT firms and the tech titans of Silicon Valley, and the second conclusion is that this is going to inflict pain on the American economy. Right, now how are these two conclusions related? Now these two conclusions are not talking about adverse things. They're talking about the same thing, only one conclusion is leading to the other, right? So you would notice that any adverse impact on actually the tech titans of Silicon Valley is going to inflict pain on the US economy. Maybe impact on Indian IT firms, no impact, but impact on tech titans of Silicon Valley, absolutely an impact on the US economy. Now because conclusion A leads to conclusion B, right? So conclusion A becomes our intermediate conclusion, and conclusion B, which is the impact on the US economy, is the ultimate conclusion or the main conclusion. Okay, so hope this clarifies the conclusion thing that we are talking about. So we've identified conclusion, we've also identified the intermediate and the main conclusions within the conclusion. Alright, now that we have the conclusion, let's figure out what this conclusion is based on, right? So this conclusion is clearly based on the fact that there is a visa crackdown in the making. Okay, so there's government or whoever is thinking of a visa crackdown, and there is this visa crackdown is likely going to take the shape of a significant hike in the minimum salary requirements for H-1B, right? So basically what it looks like saying is that the government or whoever is going to impose a minimum level of H-1B salary, right? Which means that anybody who is on H-1B but earning a level lower than the cutoff salary levels might have to leave. Okay, so both the conclusions are based on this premise that there is a visa crackdown in the making, and that visa crackdown is going to take the shape of a minimum salary requirement for H-1B visa holders. Right, now that we've identified the premise, it's time to look for the conclusion, assumption. Okay, now assumption typically takes the shape of, if premise in general is true, then conclusion in general must also be true. All right, so the assumption becomes, if only high salary specialized overseas workers are permitted, right, then there is going to be a negative impact on the large local companies. This was, you remember, the intermediate conclusion, right, which is going to lead to the ultimate conclusion, which is there's going to be pain to the domestic economy, or the domestic economy will get hit. Okay, so this is the main conclusion. All right, now that we have the assumption in place, yeah, let's go about discussing the four sentences that were given. All right, so the first sentence, the first statement that was presented to us, it said that a significant hike in the minimum salary levels for the H-1B visa recipients will not only have any impact on the manufacturing, will not have any impact on the manufacturing sector in the US. Okay, so what this statement is talking about, that the premise has absolutely no impact on the intermediate conclusion as per our original assumption. So what this statement is doing is that this statement is actually weakening the argument. Okay, so because it is not impacted, the intermediate conclusion is not getting derived from this statement, so this is weakening the argument. All right, let's look at the second statement. So the second statement, it says, it gives you a past example. It says that in 1990, a significant hike in the minimum required salary levels for the overseas workers in UK led to a steep decline in the UK's manufacturing sector. Okay, so while it gives a very similar situation, but the situation that is given is actually similar to the premise, right, only impacting the intermediate conclusion. Right, now what we do not know, for example, is whether a downturn in the UK's manufacturing sector would lead to pain in did it lead to the pain in the UK's domestic economy, right? You can't make any assumption as to how big the UK's manufacturing sector is vis-a-vis the UK economy, right? So what it is doing is, while it is coming out in support of the assumption, it only supports up to the intermediate conclusion, right? So what we can say is that this statement is actually only weakly supporting the argument. Okay, so while it is supporting the argument, yes, but it is only taking you half the way. It is only taking you until the impact on an industry, not really an impact on the entire economy. Right, let's look at statement 3. Now statement 3 talks about another case, another historical situation. In 2010, a significant hike in the minimum salary level requirements for foreign workers in Hong Kong led to a downturn in Hong Kong's banking sector, right? And its economy took 3 years to recover from it. Now, if you look at the structure here, it is very, very similar to the structure here, right? So a hike in the minimum salary requirement led to one of the industries taking a hit, right? One of the industries taking a hit, and that industry in turn impacting the economy from which it took nearly 3 years to come out of, right? So you notice that our assumption and the statement structure, right, they're talking about exactly the same things. A similar premise impacting a similar intermediate conclusion, impacting a similar main conclusion. So this statement very much makes a strong supportive case for our assumption. Okay, let's look at the fourth statement. So the fourth statement says that large Silicon Valleys like Google and Microsoft are in the best position to outsource their needs to other countries, right? So in case there is a visa crackdown, these companies, these large companies will be able to outsource, and there will be no significant impact of this visa crackdown on the US economy, right? So what this statement is saying is that the speaker said that these visa requirements are going to hit large local companies, but what this guy says is, what this statement 4 says is that this visa requirement is in fact totally not going to impact these large companies. Why? Because they're going to outsource their needs, right? And if they're going to outsource, then life is going to go on as usual for these large Silicon Valley tech titans, and therefore there's going to be no impact on the country's economy, right? So what this statement does is that it strongly weakens the argument, right? So it says that no impact on the tech titans, so this is weakening the argument. Thanks for watching the video. You can give your feedback in the comments section below. Please click the like button if you thought the video was helpful. For lesson updates, you may subscribe to my YouTube channel People Plus, or you may read my blogs at peopleprep.com, or you can directly connect to us through our Facebook page @PeoplePlus, or you can email to me at gagan@peopleplus.com. Thank you.